Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be adding recoil to our weapons to give them a little bit of weapon kick. Shoot them vertically up in the air while we're shooting, just to make them feel a little bit more realistic. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to want to head into our weapon base, which I actually already have open, apparently. And we'll just do this inside of our event graph. So let's get some open space. And we're going to create 3 custom events. We're going to have one called Start Recoil. We're going to have one called Stop Recoil. And another one called Reset Recoil. So this one's going to make the weapon kick upward. This one's going to stop that from happening. And this one's going to move the weapon back down for us to make the game a little bit nicer to us. To be able to accomplish this, we have to use a timeline. So let's call this recoil. Sure. This is always going to play from the start. This stop recoil is going to be in stop, and reset is going to be in reverse. And we can actually call this reverse recoil to make them more consistent with the names of the timeline for you, like that. Let's go ahead and open up this timeline. This is going to be really quick, this one. It's going to be a float track, and we'll just name this alpha. It's going to be 0.10 seconds long. Okay. And then on this really short thing, we want to have 3 keyframes. We'll set one of time 0 and value of 0. This second one is going to be time of 0.02 and a value of 1. And then this one is going to be time 0.1 and value 0. And then as usual, we're going to set these to be auto for their key interpolation. So that's what our timeline should look like. We don't need a loop or do anything else, so we can close out of it like that. Next thing that we want to do is we'll pull out of this direction. This is an enumeration that automatically came out of this timeline. We didn't actually add that ourselves, and we're going to switch it on. Then out of the update, we want to do this. And so this is getting a direction of forward or backward. So forward or backward. Okay, out of our timeline. Let's go ahead and get the player character. And we want to add controller pitch input. All right, and so for forward, we want this to go into the pitch. And for backward, we also want this to go into the pitch. We're going to set this to be different values. So let's drag out of here, and we're going to lerp. Remember, lerp is a linear interpolation. So it's moving from A to B over alpha. So it's going from A to B over alpha is like a certain period of time. So like you can lerp to different numbers, or it works with colors. So like if you have A is like blue and B is red, you can lerp over like 1 second, and it'll, instead of like flashing, it'll sort of fade from one color to the next. So there's different ways you can use that. So alpha is going to be our alpha value, which is going to end up being 0.1 seconds. A is going to be left at 0, and B is going to be promoted to a variable, and we'll call this weapon kick. So this is going to be like how much our weapon actually kicks up in the air every single 0.1 seconds. So if we compile this, oh gosh, let's just set this to be negative 0.05 by default. So not a whole lot. Then this return value is going to be these values. Just for this one, for backward, we're going to multiply it by -1. So, or yeah, I said -1, just didn't type it. Wanted to be the inverse for backwards, like that. And we need to plug that into the target. I was wondering why that was giving me an error. All right, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to get the player character another reference to it. And then out of here, we're going to add controller yaw input. So we're not just going to make this go up and down. We're also going to make it kind of rattle left to right a little bit. And for this value, let's just go ahead and get a random float in range. And we'll make this negative 0.15 to positive 0.15, like that. You can feel free to increase or decrease, change these numbers to whatever you want by testing it out and making it to your liking. Now, once we finish through this timeline, we're going to want to reverse recoil. So we're gonna reverse it. We're gonna send it on back like that. Guess that didn't really help me that much, that reroute node, huh? Yeah, looks fine. We're gonna reverse it, then we're gonna have a re-triggerable delay. The difference between a delay and a re-triggerable delay is, it says it right here, perform an action with a re-triggerable delay. Calling action while it is counting down will reset the countdown to the duration. So the reason we want a re-triggerable one here is because if we're reversing, right, and this timer is going down, and it's still counting, and we start shooting again, we want to set this delay back to what it was before. We want to start moving back upward. So like we want to go like boom, and then if it'll start coming back, and then we shoot again. We want it to be able to do that. So yeah, it can be re-triggered. And then we want to stop our recoil after 0.05 seconds. So this is like a really, really short time. Let's go ahead and comment box this whole thing, and we'll say adds recoil effect to weapons, like that. The last thing that we need to do is we need to call this start recoil event. That's going to be in start shooting. So after we calculate the line trace, let's just say start recoil, like that, and then we'll say is firing, like that. So now we might not be able to notice this too much, but we should see a little bit of like a screen movement. If I just don't move the mouse and I click, see it's rattling the screen a little bit, it's moving up. If I were to make this, so let's go into the pistol and let's make this some ridiculous number like negative. I'm actually trying to remember if negatives make it worse or better. We'll see. Yeah. So like -2 maybe. That was a little bit too ridiculous. Yeah, but see, that thing's bucking like a Bronco. So -1 would be a lot. Like -1 might be like your rocket launcher type of recoil. And like I'm not gonna move the mouse, I'm just gonna click. That's how much it's moving up, like that. So 0.05 for like a pistol is pretty good. Just has a little bit of recoil to it because you can shoot it so fast, like that. So yeah, you can feel free. I mean, we can't really shoot these weapons yet, so it might be something to do for later. But I'm gonna add this weapon kick into our weapon data, like that. Yeah, so that's another variable that can be dynamically set depending on whichever weapon. I think the auto rifle was like -0.1, something like that, to give you an example. And so yeah, so that recoil is going to be happening whether you're aiming or not. So that's how you got recoil. Not super crazy complex. We're just adding some pitch and yaw inputs on our screen when we shoot the gun. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, found it informative, and I'll see you in the next one.